This may be the end of Robinhood. Let's count the coincidences. Early 2020, when the crash of the stock market started, Robinhood coincidentally suffers a glitch at the highest point of the sell-offs that caused its users to lose millions. When Apple and Tesla had their stock splits, Robinhood and a few others once again coincidentally had a glitch, blocking the public and new investors from getting in on the early low-cost shares after the announcement. Noticing any patterns? And now having its only sales option, no buying, topped off with restrictions by limiting how many stocks you can buy, and I'm sure other platforms will follow suit. So far, Robinhood's 3 for 3 for the rich. People are seeing the depths of corruption in the stock market that day. In a few days, went from limitless stock buys to having limits placed on how many you can buy. Who changed the rules? The SEC didn't, so who runs the stock market? The same people that runs the casinos. Soon, new rules will be put into place which they had the whole weekend to come up with, making it unpleasant to trade and the added risk of keeping your money in a now known rigged system. Whether planned or unexpected opportunity, the billionaires may use this to push the public to digital currency. I've been talking about this since 2019. If you don't have any type of crypto, now would be a good time to get some. It's going to go up. I have to add, I'm no financial expert. This is just what I believe. Use that at your own discretion. And Dogcoin is a pump and dump. Be careful with that. After the damage is done, I'm banking Robinhood will be too. The public will feel betrayed and pull their money out and crash Robinhood. But I also can't help but be suspicious again, because the news is praising the little guy a little too much, exposing the corruption a little too much.
For years, the short sellers have colluded amongst themselves, used the media and more to manipulate markets and specific stocks by forcing massive runs on well-meaning companies, all so that they can make billions on the flip side. None of this has anything to do with creating value, making money in a good fashion, or anything of production. It is simply leeching off the American financial system to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars for a select group of the financial elite. Now, the story of GameStop and its recent market actions is itself a tale of corruption within the Wall Street elite, and how a band of mostly young, underemployed, and spiteful millennials banded together to make them pay a real price for the first time in decades. But if this entire thing is a scheme, and it's all made up anyways, then why shouldn't the little guys make some of the money instead of the titans? And that's what's happened here. That's right. A bunch of people on Reddit with Robinhood accounts delivered a body blow to one of the biggest speculators on the street. You just love to see it. But apparently I'm the only guy in media who does like to see it, because over on the financial news channels, they are losing their minds. In fact, since I actually don't watch too much financial news, I saw Jim Cramer, of all people, who's making sense after an analyst on CNBC accused Redditors of possible illegal collusion and then suggested with a straight face it might be foreign powers at work manipulating our markets. But what really you just witnessed is that when regular people do what the billionaires do, then they start crying about crimes, they want the SEC involved, they want to know if it's illegal, when the little guy does what they do in a less highbrow version and without a suit on. That's what's at play here. Wall Street is shook because multi-billionaires who recklessly gambled on a stock are getting screwed. They're targeting average retail investors for having some fun online because it reveals just how much of a sham that this all is. People are referring to stocks that Redditors are buying, like Palantir and BlackBerry and Nokia and GameStop, as meme stocks, with the idea that their value is being memed into existence. But let me put on my Morpheus glasses and say this. What if I told you that many of the most valuable stocks on Wall Street are just as much, if not more so, of a joke and a meme? It's just that the people doing the memeing in their case has nothing to do with the normal people who are buying them, but instead an internal cartel of elites who take massive bets on normal companies and then manipulate markets through their allies in the media or by convincing other big shot investors to follow their lead. In other words, it's all fake, all of it. What the Wall Street elites can't stand is that the people other than them are making money. And over on CNBC, they're already campaigning to use their connections in government to go after. Take a listen.
And there is something inherently wrong within the regulatory structure if this can be allowed.
Oh, now something's wrong. It really is incredible. After looting billions during this pandemic, trillions of dollars in bailouts. What prompts a call for government action on CNBC? It's people making money online at the expense of the billionaire gambling class. Well, I, for one, think that the little guys online deserve just as much of a shot to be reckless as the hedge fund class. So game on. And it's just incredible. And just this morning, I wanted to make sure I could pull this too. CNBC, Squawk Box, had the gall to have on the CEO of the NASDAQ, the trading platform, in which they were calling for more regulation. When's the last time that you saw the head of a trading platform call for more regulation?
And here's the thing is, like, it's not, I don't want to be overly simplistic here. It's not like short selling is always bad.
Yeah,
short sellers actually uncovered what was going on with Enron.
Right.
Short sellers uncovered, some of them, what was going on with the housing crisis and the financial bubble there. But what you see in this instance with GameStop is that they just kept doubling down on this position and aggressively destroying this company and driving it into the ground, which has real world consequences for example, the workers who, you know, rely on an income from working at GameStop. They were so greedy and they pushed this thing down so far and had such an aggressive short selling position. That's what they're getting punished for. If they had shorted this in like a reasonable way, and they would have made plenty of money there, but the fact that they wanted to drive the stock into the ground and essentially force a bankruptcy, that's what they're ultimately getting punished for here. So good. I love to see it. I love to see that you're making all of these people so incredibly uncomfortable that they're crying to the Biden administration for new regulation. Amazing.
I want you to address the obvious. This looks like a move by an outfit called Robinhood, which is supposed to be taken from the rich and given to the poor, and doing exactly the opposite. That when the big guys, including one of your main investors in your company, started to lose, you shut down the game to starve the little guy. Fair criticism.
That's not what it is at all. And I know you started this segment. It really resonated with me because you described the story of Robinhood. Robinhood started 5 years ago by pioneering commission-free, no-account minimum mobile investing, and we've been the spokesperson of the individual investor, and our whole goal as an institution is to enable those customers, empower them, and give them access to the markets, because for the longest time, markets have been only accessible to the wealthy. And so the entire industry adopted our business model in 2019, and in 2020, we added millions of new customers. The entire industry added millions of new customers who took advantage of the market value and became investors for the very first time. So, you know, we had to make a very difficult decision to protect our customers and our firm.
Why?
But we in no way...
Why? Explain why you had to do it if it wasn't to protect the guys who had shorted the stocks, which are the big hedge funds. How are you helping the little guy investors?
Well, I know that there's rumors around that, you know, we were directed by market makers or other market participants to do this, and I want to be 100% clear. This decision was not made on the direction of any market maker or other market participants. So why do it? Robinhood, as a brokerage, has lots of financial requirements, SEC requirements. We have to put money at clearinghouses. The amount of money that we have to put up depends on market volatility, and we're in a historic situation where there's a lot of activity and a lot of money concentrated in a relatively small number of symbols that are going viral on social media. So we haven't really seen anything like this before, and to prudently manage the risk and the deposit requirements, we had to restrict buying in these certain stocks. But customers that held them could sell throughout. Thousands of other securities and stocks on our platform were available to freely trade, and our number one priority, as you mentioned, is to make sure our platform is reliable, stable for customers. We're serving our customers and giving them the tools.
But that's exactly what's in question now.
We're doing everything in our power to turn it back on as soon as prudent.
But that's the thing, is that the trust is in question, because it seems like the only people who are getting hurt were the big shots. And that if they were benefiting from this, your small investors now believe that you wouldn't have shut down the game. And just one thing without getting in the weeds here. You don't control the listing venue for GameStop. Now, I used to work in finance, so I know this stuff, but the audience doesn't need to. The New York Stock Exchange does. So if anybody was going to control the listing and shut it down, it should have been them, but it wasn't. It was you. And the reason that they do it is very limited. They do it because they think there's evidence of fraud, or they think that there needs to be a material disclosure by the company that hasn't been made. And that's done to protect the investor. You check none of those boxes here because you don't control the venue. You didn't know about any information that GameStop or any of these other stocks needed to put out. You don't have any reason to believe there's fraud that you've articulated. And you're certainly not protecting these people who've been living the dream of making money, especially at the expense of the big guys. So why should people believe you did this for the right reasons?
Well, we have no choice. We have to comply with all financial requirements. And
the SEC hasn't said you had to do this.
Well, lots of brokers have to comply with these financial requirements and issue restrictions on some of these names. And this is an industry-wide thing. You yourself mentioned that other brokers have taken those restrictions. And not speaking for other firms, but for Robinhood in particular, this is because there's deals happening with market makers we route to or market participants.
But then why did you allow people to keep selling but not buying? The reason that is so troubling to people is that they were making money buying the stock because they were against the short side. And so by enabling them to sell but not buy, it sounds like you were allowing the hedge funds, and again, one of them owns a piece of you, and they had a big short position, and that looks like a stinky conflict that you didn't come out straight on from the start. Address that.
Well, none of that had anything to do with our decision to do this. Again, this was just looking at regulatory requirements, financial requirements, and we 100% will always protect our customers, where the entire business is operating to empower individual investors and athletes.
Keep in mind who the media is owned by. Could this have been planned and they used the crash of a hedge fund to sell the idea that the market is rigged and no longer a secure place for investment and push digital asset? Or could this really be a legit organized plot to take down billionaires? Either way, best believe the elites is taking full advantage of it. So I did a little digging. Turns out no one really knows how much the largest holder of Gamestop stocks, Melvin Capital, has really lost. Not an accurate amount anyway. Here's the slick part. According to news articles including Wikipedia, after receiving a $2.75 billion investment, not bailout, investment, which means they have to pay it back, from rival hedge fund Citadel and .72 Asset Management, Melvin Capital closed their position on January 26 sometime in the afternoon. During the afternoon that day, GameStop stocks was under $100. The stocks kept climbing to the morning of the 28th where Robinhood stepped in and put a halt to the stock trades. Social media, infuriated, keeps pushing hold your stocks, under the impression of doing maximum damage to the hedge funds. Most unaware the big fish is already out the game because a lot of people in the chat keep saying, they're going to have to sell soon, hold your position and don't sell. Am I missing something? I'm no expert, but that's starting to sound like a setup, intentionally or not. Once the trading of these stocks were halted, it took a nosedive of more than half its value in less than an hour, with the public unable to buy but only sell. Take a wild guess who was able to buy at these rock bottom prices to recoup their losses, which the stock jumped up more than double in less than 40 minutes afterwards. Market manipulation in your face. They're back in the game and about to turn on the public once they think they made enough money to cover their losses and profit. And I would go as far as saying after that stunt Robinhood pull, they're back to own a majority of shares again, or at least a huge chunk of it. Probably shorting it again when they hit their target price. How long do you think GameStop price will stay that high? People not rushing out to buy video games during the pandemic in a sick world where it's normal to walk around with 4 masks, depriving yourself of oxygen and having anal swabs. Just saying. But this is all speculation on my part. That's the worst case scenario reality I see. You know how crazy that is to suggest anal swabs? Are they just sitting around thinking of what they can make people do and laugh about it? What are you going to find back there you can't find in urine? Anything more, use Cologuard. But no, they want a fresh sample and humiliate you in the process. I just went somewhere else, didn't I? It pisses me off that they look at us like the dumbest species they had a hand in creating. Imagine you from another planet and visited Earth and went back to your home planet. You would probably tell your friends,
man, you should go to Earth. You can make them do anything you want. They dumb as hell. Not only they taking injectable Kool-Aid on top of depriving themselves of oxygen that they need to survive, they taking Q-tips in the ass. And the funny part is, the Q-tips was my idea.
This is how the elite looks at society. If you're not familiar with Star Wars, Clone Wars, these are the dumbest and scariest robots in the galaxy, skilled just enough to do their jobs under the command of a powerful dictator. That's another thing that irks the shit out of me. Who programs fear in BattleBots? I had to keep reminding myself, it's a cartoon, L, it's for humor effect, but it sure feels like they mimicking majority of today's society. Anyway, before that rant, I want to finish by saying that once the sell-off is over, people will probably abandon Robinhood to send a message to the next platform, which it probably wouldn't matter because a new one will always show up to replace it. That's if people don't pull their cash out of stocks and start trading in crypto instead because it will become more attractive, which is probably the plan with the overexposure and manipulation in the stock market to sway people's trust, but we'll see. Listen, I'm not suggesting to give in to the system and buy crypto. I'm saying the earlier you get in will only help you when you have no choice but to accept the system. Once again, do not take this as a financial advice. Do your own research. The slaves are being carded for efficiency right now. People not taking the injectable Kool-Aid or being squeezed out of their system of limited planet access. Only the rich will have full planet access. The elders and weak are being squeezed by involuntary euthanasia out of their system of efficient semi-sterile workers. The unemployed are being squeezed out of their system of limited planet access. Cash is being squeezed out of their system of tracked and controlled ID-linked slave currency. This is me speaking. The day Harriet Tubman $20 bill hits the market will be the day the US dollar will slowly be taken off life support. Again, that's me. Thank you for watching, and thank you for sharing your time with me. Much respect goes out to my Patreon supporters. Your support not only helps to improve the channel, but it shows how much you respect the time I put into making these videos. Thank you so much for your support. Everyone be safe and have a great day.